become a Brown until you beat the Steelers. What will it take tonight?
The horse is prepared for battle, but victory comes from the Lord. So I'm dependent on the Lord.
Is that the message to the team?
Day by day, one play at a time. That's the message.
Weather conditions tonight. We're expecting winds up to 15 miles per hour in a wintry mix. How will that impact your ability to throw the ball?
I am so happy and grateful that the Lord has blessed me to play in some snow, to be in true football weather in Cleveland, Ohio at Huntington Bank Field today to give him the glory. It's a beautiful day.
Sure feels like you're playing in the AFC North.
It is. It's magical. Thank you.
Or Venus, or Mars, or Saturn. I don't actually know where Jameis Winston actually is at this stage of his career in life. But hey, that's all good because Jameis is having a good time. And good for them. The people of Cleveland had a great time on Thursday night in the snow. One of those classic games. And for all the people that want to bag on Al Michaels just for fun, who would you rather be calling that game tonight than Al Michaels in a blizzard practically in Cleveland? A 24-19 win for the Browns, who surge ahead in the final minutes with a touchdown from Nick Chubb and then hold off the Steelers on a Hail Mary batted down in the end zone. Dan Hanzus here with Marc Sessler and Justin Graver heeding that call on a Thursday night. And Mark, hey man, good job for you. Good job for the Browns fans because it's been a very tough year, tough 3 years really. But wins like this are what keeps you coming back.
It is. I mean, I was sitting in Los Angeles, so I had very little to do with the overall, effort here. But I would say this: like, when your team is a terrible team, and on this show they're like, "Oh, we would wish you to stop talking about the Jets and the Browns and the Titans." But when your team suddenly comes out of nowhere and takes victory away from your arch rival, your enemy, the team that's been a king over you, like, I kind of felt like a kid again. It kind of reminded me why I started to do this, like, it kind of went beyond the stats and the analysis, and it was just the nature of the sport, and it was weather. And like, I remember when I was a kid playing Madden, like I'd always dial up the snow games. And so there was something really special and beautiful about that. And like, Cleveland wants to move to a dome, and like, well, yeah, but this is what you don't get if you do that. I don't want concerts. I don't care about Taylor Swift playing in Cleveland in the middle of June. I want this. And I think Jameis Winston, for all his hyperbole, and like, he's not giving it to horses, he's giving it to the Lord. And like, the Cleveland Browns came out of nowhere tonight, and there was some fire, there was something from the gods. And it was like, the records in the past of the Browns and the Steelers meant nothing. It kind of just came down to this pure event. And like, I don't really know how to describe it other than the fact that it kind of lit me up. It lit my heart up to watch this happen, because it didn't make a lot of sense. And that's when sports and the NFL specializes in that. But like, it did make a lot of sense. This 2-8 Cleveland Browns team beats this surging 8-2 Steelers team with a devastating defense, and the Browns have had no answers all year long. And then tonight happens, and that's why we love the NFL at this time of year, in weather, in the middle of the country. And I feel satisfied. It doesn't happen often, but as a fan, I feel satisfied tonight.
Yeah, that's great. And when that happens in island games, that's great. And the one thing I'll push back on, Mark, is that I think when we previewed this game on Tuesday, I think we all, to different levels, said, this could definitely end up being a game. I know it doesn't look like it will be on paper, but one thing about the Browns, and it's very interesting, they've had a very strange journey the last 5 or 6 years. Because for all their failures, and there have been many, and well-publicized and derided personnel decisions. One comes to mind that we don't even need to talk about tonight. They're a team that they've had plenty of moments and high-profile moments, and I feel like especially the games that are played in Cleveland in the spotlight Thursday nights, especially, it feels like Thursday night Cleveland games have a special vibe to them, and very rarely do you see them lay an egg at home. And, I said a similar thing Halloween night when the Jets beat the Texans, and and I was on a break with the Jets at the time, and but seeing all those fans again across the country, and I'm watching 70,000 Jet fans like cheering their heart out, and they just want their team to win. People just want to leave the building not feeling like shit, and when you actually get the team playing up to your hopes and you get a win out of it, it's like, man, I wish this happened more often. But you just got to savor it. And the real fan bases, and especially the tortured fan bases, and the Browns and the Jets are right at the top of the list. You could tell how much these games mean, even in these lost seasons. And there's been so many lost seasons. But when you have a night like this, it salvages the season on some level. And ever since that other guy exited the picture with the injury, it feels like there's been a weight lifted off the Browns. And I know it's not like they've been playing lights out since Winston took over, but you feel there's a little bit more of a lightness to the organization, and there's a path forward, and it's not going to end with them going to the playoffs or making some magical run this year, but kind of being able to dig themselves out of the mud and the dirt and all the debris left behind by their quarterback decision. This is a reminder that, yeah, it could be fun to be a Cleveland Browns fan, and perhaps it will be again with relevant wins this time of year. So I enjoyed it. I like when, one of my favorite Tom Petty songs, even the losers get lucky sometimes. And you look at the team stats in this game, and the Steelers kind of outgained and had the ball longer, and then the Browns, I believe, turned the ball over 3 times in the second half, including some back-breaking turnovers. But they kept coming back, Mark, and they got the stop. The defense played excellent. A defense that had really taken a huge step back this year in Cleveland played excellent pretty much all game long, and then they were able to get off the field and give Jameis Winston a chance to lead the team down the field, and he did that. A really nice drive at the end, and very strange how terrible Cleveland was on 3rd down in this game and how brilliant they were in 4th down, and it saved their bacon multiple times on that final possession.
Well, and they're playing a team that has a whole 4th down package with a second quarterback. So, both teams were trying that. And this is the worst 3rd down offense in the league, the Cleveland Browns. That's not all on Jameis Winston, obviously. It's the previous guy. But he has made guys like Jerry Jeudy come to life, where I thought Jerry Jeudy was a failed experiment, and maybe he still will be. But like on that final drive, there was a huge catch by Jerry Jeudy in the snow, and they came back.
I think that was the only 3rd down conversion of the game, Mark. I think it 1 for 10,
yeah.
And that was the one that really helped seal the game for them.
And it's like, that's why it was a weird game. It came at the most critical moment. I mean, Jameis Winston was strip sacked by Nick Herbig with 7 minutes to go, and the Steelers take the lead. And we were texting, and I kind of felt hope, like something just is going to happen here. And you said too, I kind of just feel like Cleveland's going to win this, and they did.
It was a Cleveland night. It felt that way.
It really was, and an emblem of the night, the fact that I'm watching Myles Garrett, who has 3 sacks in the first half, and the fact that they talked about Myles Garrett, who they spoke to during the week, was I don't care what our record is. This matters. I'm not giving up. That matters to me, watching a losing team, that the team isn't sailing away, and that his helmet, the orange Cleveland Browns helmet, is chipped, and underneath it, you've got the white surface that matches the snowfield that they're playing on. It was a Cleveland Browns kind of night for that reason. And we know the Steelers, they will recover, because they always do. But this has happened on these island games with the Steelers before, and it's very much an AFC North story. But Cleveland found a way to neutralize what the Pittsburgh Steelers have done well all year. It was not a TJ Watt game. Russell Wilson was on and off the field, switching in with Justin. It's like they did not have the offense they normally had. At the end of it, you've got George Pickens being held back by Steelers personnel to stop fighting with someone. I kind of love that. I love when the Steelers melt down as a Browns fan. I'm just being a fan when I say that, but I kind of need that once in a while.
Sure. I hope Damashek can hear that right now, because Shek certainly takes.
Well, Shek has got to be. I love Shek as much as I love any. Yeah, I love Shek as much as anyone, but he's not. He is. He'll take rich, jabs at the Cleveland Browns, and tonight he's got to deal with what he's dealing with. So
Shek is the best. Shek, when that Jets bombshell story came out a couple days ago, He's just like quote retweeting himself from months earlier about the Jets and just stomping all over the Jets' grave. I'm like, what? Check. Can we take a break? Leave the losers alone and enjoy what you have. And you're right. The Steelers are going to be fine. That's a frustrating loss. But hey, when you're playing in the snow and like you said, how beautiful did that look?
It was
snowy
how
conditions.
Aesthetically incredible. We need that once a year.
Yeah. And
really
yeah, you're right. We're gonna make these type of games disappear forever, so we can get Sabrina Carpenter under a roof in downtown Cleveland. No.
Don't need it.
Listen, I like Sabrina Carpenter.
I'll give you a roof.
I'm just saying. Wait, Justin has some Sabrina Carpenter takes. What do you think?
No, I just want to talk to the aesthetic because, I absolutely agree with everything you guys are saying, and I love snow games as much as everyone else. Something that kind of bothers me a little bit, maybe this is a hot take or a bad take, I don't like that the broadcast puts these superimposed numbers and hash marks on the field.
That was a problem.
So that it looks like it's like somebody has been out there perfectly sweeping the number.
Why are we not using tech to have a better understanding ourselves?
They come over the players, though. The problem is that the image is drowning out the human being, and I'm with you on the front that bothered me, and it was on my mind. And I was like, that's the kind of thing I thought I'd bring up, and everyone else would be like, we don't care, we love everything. It's like,
no,
that
you know
did
what
bother
that
me.
is? If you brought it up, Mark, or especially if I brought it up, there would be like 4 threads or something on the subreddit saying what an old piece of shit I am.
Yeah,
but since the younger guy brought it up on the show, it's fine. I like
genius. Justin's he's an asset,
Justin's done it again. Justin, I respectfully disagree because for me, I like having perspective of what's going on, and once the snow's really coming down, it's not like the players can see that. That's just an overlay, obviously, of a graphic. But how cool that the snow's coming down, and it started around the second quarter or so, and it's kind of gorgeous and sprinkling. And then by the third quarter, it's big, fat snowflakes, and they're getting stuck in Tomlin's beard. I mean, just a visual feast. If you like football, and especially if you like AFC North football, just wonderful. It was a wonderful night, and I just thought in general, Thursday night, I feel like, and there's a deal with you're robbing Peter to pay Paul, right? But Thursday night has absolutely been better this year. And that comes at the expense a little bit of Sundays, but that's the way it works, and that's how the money works. But in this case, this wasn't supposed to be. This was a 2-8 versus an 8-2, and we ended up getting really treated to a great back and forth game. I thought that Russell Wilson. I thought Russell Wilson played well in this game, and that was obviously those conditions are not easy, and he made big throws to dig him out. This is a game that. Early in the fourth quarter, the Browns are up 18-6 after they go in for a touchdown and get the 2-point conversion. And that's when the wheels kind of fall off for the Browns. The Steelers get the ball. They go down the field. They score a touchdown. Warren gets in. Then Winston has one of his turnovers. He gets hit from behind, fumbles, recovered by Pittsburgh. I think it's the Herbig hit you were referring to, Mark. And then very quickly, Wilson attacks downfield. And the vertical presence of the Steelers offense now, even in a game like this, they're so much more dangerous than they've been in the last couple of years. And he's able to hit that strike downfield. Who did he hit for that the go-ahead score?
Calvin Austin
to put them ahead, and then Winston goes back, and the Browns go back down the field, and Jameis throws a couple balls up for grab. One gets picked off, and that's kind of when you think, Mark, the game is going to get away from the Browns, and the Steelers have held off this upstart, plucky Browns group. But yeah, that's what made this game special. Like, it was Cleveland's night, and Cleveland found a way to get the stops, get the ball back, and then, of course, take the ball downfield for the go-ahead touchdown.
I'm with you on Russell Wilson, though, because I think if you look at this game in particular, in rough elemental conditions, that is a 46-yard pass to Calvin Austin. Freiermuth had a 22-yard catch. There's a 31-yard catch to Pickens, a 35-yard catch to Van Jefferson. Like, they are more vertical than we ever expected them to be. And I think adding, Jaylen Warren was out of the mix for a long time this season. He alone adds a lot of speed, too. I think they're just a more dynamic attack than one would have expected 2 months ago. And so It's arrow up on the Steelers. This was just sort of a divisional game, and if someone told me the Steelers would be 8-3 at this point, like I'm good with that. Like that's who they are, and like they're a really rugged, formidable bunch, and they'll be fine. Like I think it's interesting that the Cleveland Browns have taken out the Ravens and Steelers in like the last number of weeks. It kind of speaks to divisional football, and it also makes no sense.
Yeah, no, the Browns are just weird, man. You root for a really weird team, like, and you don't know what's going to be a special Browns week.
I didn't plan for this to be the experience.
Like they should. There's no reason. Yeah, like if they had a half decent quarterback for the whole year, they'd probably be right in the middle of contention, but they didn't, and that was costing them games. And the defense took a huge step back. I think, didn't they lead the NFL in defense last year? And
yes, in
they
yards
entered this
per
game
game.
19th.
Yep.
Yeah, 19th in yards per game. But we got the number one version of the Browns defense for much of this game. And even the fact that they let the lead get away in the second half and giving up 13 points in the fourth quarter. I mean, to be fair, that was only one true long touchdown drive by Pittsburgh. One was the points they got off the turnovers. So, and like I said, Myles Garrett, who had 3 sacks in the first half, he ends up in the concussion protocol, but they still find a way. And you mentioned the other, superstar on the field, TJ Watt. I kept waiting and expecting Watt to make that play, like the play, and I'm sure Browns fans and Mark, you felt the same way, to the point where in the closeout moments of this game, when on that last possession that the Browns had, when it was getting to, third and short, fourth down, third down and 4, third down and 2, I kept on expecting him to just blow up the tackle. I don't know who was on Watt for most of this game. I kept waiting for him to just blow through him, put him in a clown suit, bury Winston, and get that fumble that Watt always does. Their ability to neutralize TJ Watt was the other huge aspect of this win for the Browns, because these are the games that he's famous for closing out with monster plays, and he just could not get to Winston for most of this game.
Yeah, you have DeJuan Jones out at left tackle, who had been playing well. Like Cleveland's offensive line is healthier than it's been through much of the season, but I'm with you. You're always waiting for that to happen. And like, I don't look at negative TJ Watt stats with much weight, because I think he just is who he is. But his pressure rate has been down this season. It's just been different than it has been in other years. That said, like, he could have a monster end to the campaign. But right, tonight, like, that play did not occur. And that's sort of how the Steelers win 3 or 4 games a year, by TJ Watt making some sort of devastating impact at the end of a game. That's just what he does. He makes those plays. And tonight we got that in the first half from Myles Garrett instead. And, I think the two of them have a bit of they duel each other for, Defensive Player of the Year honors. And there was some verbiage around that leading into this game. And tonight was Myles Garrett's evening. And it was in Cleveland, so that's how it works.
I mean, we spoke of the coin toss, but that's about it. Like I said, I got a lot of respect for him, a lot of respect for all the guys over there, and the edge rushers in the league. But I'm number one, and that's from edge defender 1, edge 1 to defensive player of the year. I'm the guy, so that runs through me. There's no other person being defended as I am, or schemed, or planned against like I am. So. This goes to show, you can throw that out the window. I'm going to find a way.
Are you playing on Underdog yet? There's so many ways to get in on the action, whether it's higher, lower, pick'em entries, daily drafts, or season-long tournaments. And it's not just the NFL. The NBA is back. You've got NHL, college sports, so many options. So don't miss out. Just scan the QR code on your screen to download and play on the Underdog app. Or if you're not watching on YouTube, sign up with the code HTC, our show, and you can receive up to $1,000 in bonus cash when you deposit. Make the most of your sports fandom by playing along on Underdog. For our U.S. audience only.
Okay. Now, I want to talk about Kirk Herbstreit, also mentioned on the final Pittsburgh possession after the Browns took the lead. So it was about 52 seconds or so with one timeout Pittsburgh had. And I didn't love how the Steelers wide receivers played that last possession. Herbstreit called it out, one where Russell Wilson was flushed out of the pocket, bought time, and waited for a Steeler to break downfield, and they just kind of stayed where they were and he just flipped it away. These are valuable seconds that tick by. And then even on that last Hail Mary, and maybe it's because we saw what happened with the Commanders earlier this year and Aaron Rodgers and the Jets in prime time also on a Hail Mary. That was completely non-competitive by the Steelers wide receivers. There's just like in the crucible moments of this game on both sides of the ball, Pittsburgh could not make a big play, and to the Browns' credit, they did. So very nice. And speaking of the play-by-play and the color man, you had a good tweet there, Justin.
I know exactly when this moment occurred.
Love Al, by the way. What a night for Al Michaels. Matt Smith tweeted, not our Matt Smith, a different Matt Smith, at Saminol. This blizzard is so crazy that Al Michaels just called a white guy Njoku.
His actual name was Blake
That has never
Whiteheart.
happened before, I guarantee it.
His actual name was Blake Whiteheart, who they just signed up to the active roster this week, who made a catch, who kind of does physically look Njoku-ish, but yes, I do wonder if you're up in the booth, is it tough to see what's going on a little bit?
You know that meme with the dog doing like the face I don't think so, dude. I don't think Whiteheart looks like Njoku.
I don't think he looks like him. It's not like if you were walking down the street, you'd say that's David Njoku, but just
it speaks to the conditions.
Yes,
and also the Browns tight ends did their best to not win this game. I mean, Atkins, like that guy.
Well, that's your guy.
He drops a ball.
I thought
he had a bad drop in the end zone. He somewhat redeemed himself by making the 2-point conversion catch. And then who's the other guy? Atkins?
Jordan Akins.
Jordan Akins has one of the worst drops you'll see all year at a major moment in this game where there's a bust in the coverage for Pittsburgh, and if he catches it. And it's a great replay and a good job by Amazon because they had like kind of the field view on the replay. And he clanks off his hands, and then he kind of turns because I think he was turning to run with it before he secured it. And you see that he sees that there's literally nothing but white snow between him and the pylon, and he basically punts on what would have been a highly dramatic touchdown. So I got to give credit to Winston. I mean, this is the first time he ever played in snow. I don't know. I'd like to get some data points to back that up, but if you go through his history, it kind of makes sense. He played, he played like Jameis Winston, like he was messy at times in terms of protecting the football, but that last drive, he was money, and he brought the game home.
He fits. And I get that some people aren't down with his pregame soliloquies, but it feels a lot better than
the
what
only
was
thing I'll
happening
say
before.
about that, Mark, is like the Winston stuff, and I know he's everybody's favorite. It's weird to me what people choose to look past in terms of people's checkered histories, and I'm not here to pass judgment on people, but like he's basically viewed as like the velvet teddy bear, and like that's not completely in connection with his actual background, but maybe he's also a guy that kind of saw the light and is a totally different person than he was a few years back. So I guess I'm kind of talking from both sides of my mouth. Sometimes I'm like, everybody's just throwing roses at this guy, and he's kind of a goober.
No, you're right. But
he's also entertaining as hell, and I get that.
I would say, I think do people change? Do people grow? Especially I think if someone finds something like a greater meaning, he seems to reference that literally every time he speaks. So I wonder if he's a bit of a changed person. But you're right. You could look back at the history and say, I think it's
just
relative
in the back of my mind.
But it's relative to the other. He's helped. Anyone would be helped. He's relative to the other guy, and so he's helped by that, and from a PR angle.
It was a 9-play, 45-yard go-ahead score that's set up by an absolutely wretched punt by Waitman for Pittsburgh, who in a big spot in the game shanks one 15 yards off the side of his foot, out of bounds, setting up Cleveland on a short field, and they take advantage of it. So for Pittsburgh, who make their money on handling themselves and executing, there were some breakdowns in this game. And again, I'm with you. Not freaking out about the Pittsburgh Steelers. I know they have their schedule is a little bit interesting, spinning forward. But if they execute the way we've seen the Steelers execute all season this year, this game is over and they take it home. But this game, they left the door open and the Browns walked right in. Up next, they have at Cincinnati. And I don't know how many times we're going to have to say this, but Cincinnati in do or die mode, truly at this point. And they're going to
probably until 2029, they'll still be we'll still be talking about them.
I think we could safely say that the Cincinnati Bengals are no longer in the conversation if they fall to 4-8. But at home against the Steelers, that's going to be a fun game. And then they get the Browns again, the Steelers, in their building. Then they go to Philly. Then they go to Baltimore. Then they host the Chiefs. And then they host the Bengals. So this schedule, I mean, Damashek and all the other Steelers fans, like before they want to celebrate the return of the Steel Curtain and the glory years, like we're not out of the woods yet. We're gonna learn more about this Steelers group. I think they bounce back, but they do not have an easy schedule down the stretch.
Damashek's like, hey fella, why do you keep bringing me up?
I don't know. Go check out Damashek's feed on like Wednesday. I was like, come on, Dave. What the hell, man?
Well, I think he's like all of us. We've got pockets of time where we just start to we're espousing opinions. That's what we do.
Anything else you want to share, Mark? I know this is really your night, so I want to give you the final word on this fabulous spectacle that we witnessed tonight.
I do. I just think if you're listening to the show and you're like, and this is not a pitch for our show, it's just for like your team is, in absentia and like disappearing into off-season mode. Like these nights can still happen. I kind of had completely given up even on the Jameis Winston Browns because it had been so hopeless after that Baltimore win. And like, this felt different. I just kind of made me remember like sitting down and like, I just stopped taking notes and stopped doing like all my data and all this stuff. It's just like, I'm just going to enjoy this. And like, that felt good. And I think sometimes we need to just watch a football game, especially if it's our team, if they're about to pull off, I wouldn't call the impossible, but the improbable, and kind of just be part of it. And like that, they pulled me back in a little bit tonight, not in the way where I care about this season. I mean, this is a lost cause. It's a ship sinking deep into the ocean. But like before the ship sank, like we got our little Jack and Rose moment before she pulled him right off that little piece of metal and he sunk. And then she went on to a great life. No, she went on to like, they show all these photos of all these things she did. She's like a horse rider and a pilot. It's like, cool, good for you. But he's gone. So that's the Browns fans.
I love how you're landing the plane on this one. Wait, was she the old lady? It's been a long time since I saw. Was she the old lady that threw the ruby into the sea at the end? Justin's nodding his head. Okay, good. Yeah, she had like 40 grandkids. Meanwhile, half the door is open and she's letting Jack freeze to death and sink to the bottom of the Atlantic. Cool, man.
She easily could have allowed Jack to just share part of it, and then like a small vessel shows up 4 minutes. They probably wouldn't have let him on either because he was a man. But like 4 minutes later, a boat shows up and like Jack's floating to the bottom of the deep Atlantic Ocean. Like not a great situation for the guy.
Arctic Ocean.
Arctic, but sure. But like I mean, like the ocean. So.
Wow, Justin off the top row with a little oceanic correction in a big spot.
I mean, it's between our nation and Europe, so it's not that far off. But
all right. The Titanic sank in the North Atlantic Ocean on April 15th, 1912.
So Mark.
Anything else? Any other corrections, Justin, on today's program?
Never again.
The Arctic Ocean.
What a weird route that would be for that boat. Okay.
And you know, I love Al. I say it like every 5 minutes. But how many times is Al Michaels saying, "I can't believe people are still here"? People in Cleveland don't got nowhere to go. Al should know this better than anyone. The denizens of Cleveland, Ohio, live and breathe the Browns. They love the Guardians, and they're happy about their cute little Cavs and their hot start, and other team in the area. That's all good and all well and good, but it's about the Browns, and it's not like oh honey, the snow's really picking up. We might want to get to the car. That's not how the people of Cleveland operate. They love that shit. Half those people were shirtless, for Christ's sake. He's leaving
Imagine
early?
Imagine our friend Andrew Siciliano tonight, like in that environment. So like, don't tell me people are leaving. And like, there was rumors that it was going to be a Steelers crowd, and it was not. And that to me is something that you can hang on to if you're a supporter of the Browns or of those teams that suffer. Like that was a victory. Yep.
That's what brought me out, Mark, of my break with the Jets, was seeing those fans in the building on a hopeless, embarrassing season on Halloween night when they could have been trick-or-treating with their family or whatever, doing whatever they wanted, but instead they filled that stadium and were loud. And when they beat the Texans at another upset, these fan bases deserve so much more than what the organizations have given them. So these nights are good, and they're a celebration and really a reward to the fans for that loyalties. And that's why, Al, they ain't leaving. You know how much bad, depressing, losing football Browns fans have been watching the last 25 years? They ain't leaving the stadium on a beautiful snowy night when you're beating the Pittsburgh Steelers.
No. Well said.
Cleveland lives for that shit, and God bless them. God bless you, Mark. Congratulations. Sleep well, my friend.
Well, I hope I will.
Well, let's not get crazy. You will not sleep well.
But I thank you. Your sentiments matter to me. Thank you.
Count Markula, win, lose, or draw. He's staring at that ceiling. Reminder, I announced it on the preview show today, Mark. We are back on Sky Sports, the Sky Sports NFL coverage, starting with a live appearance during the pregame show on Sky this Sunday. I think, is Neil with us on that? I don't know. I feel like they just put Neil on like a 20-hour workday on Football Sunday. So I assume we'll be with Neil. I hope we're with Neil. And if we're not, we know everybody over there. They're all great.
They're great. And I hope it would be Neil. And but also, there's 6 or 7 people that we love that are also part of that crew. And what a great pleasure it is to be back on Sky. It's been a while, and we're going to be doing it for the next month plus, and deep into the postseason. So exciting.
Yeah. So make sure, if you're a fan of our program or us or Sky Sports, watch us, and and feel free to.
Or Europe, if you care about Europe.
Right. If you care about the state of Europe and the future of it, watch our appearance on Sky Sports this Sunday and multiple Sundays moving forward for the rest of the season. All right. Good stuff. Tomorrow morning, first thing, over on the Patreon, you will get the draft show for Week 12. You'll also get, it dropped today, a new episode of the Throwback Podcast with Bob and I, which chronicles the top 10, Billboard top 10 on this week in the year 1994. A lot to unpack there.
Ooh, that's a great year. There's some stuff going on there.
Feel free to check in. And then and everything else over on the Patreon, patreon.com/heedthecall. That's it. Thanks to everybody for listening and watching. Till next time, do what you must. Heed the call.
It really was amazing. I was just praying on the sideline because that fourth quarter, it really was it was a whole paradigm shift. We were playing so well offensively, and then bang, bang, back-to-back drives with turnovers, and I'm just oh my gosh, this is really an NFL's film moment. The snow starts pouring down. It starts getting I felt my feet started getting heavy because I'm squishing through the snow, and man, it was so good, and it was so great to end up getting that win.